videos, we have configured our Siemens G120C drive parameter data via the keypad. And we can also do it by the Startdrive, which is available in TIA portal. So if you go to Siemens website, then you're going to find the semantic Startdrive, and the version number needs to match the version number of TIA portal that you're using. So right now I'm using version 19, and so I downloaded version 19. Now, I'm not going to bore you with how to install your software because I think you can work through that. So I just installed it. And then I'm going to double click on TIA portal. And then we're going to go ahead and create a new project. So I'm just going to call this one my G120C upload. Basically what we're going to do in this, we're going to poke around a little bit and see how we can set it up in here. So I create. And then the first thing we got to do is configure a device. So we could simply configure a device here, or we could go down to online and diagnostics. And if it's out there, we should be able to find accessible devices. So I'm going to click accessible devices. And first thing we're going to need to do is select our PG PC interface. So I'm going to hit that drop down there. And the PN/IE, that is, you're going to be your Ethernet network. So I'm going to click it, and then we're going to hit Start Search. And so it's found all the devices that we have out on our trainer. So mainly we're going to be looking at this G120 drive for this one. So I'm going to select it and hit Shut. And it's going to give us a warning about, do you want to set this as the default interface? And I would recommend you doing this. Now, I'm actually getting ready to make some TI portal video, so I want to leave this no. That way I can walk you through that when we get to talking about PLCs. And so that opens it up down here in our online access. So now what I want to do is I'm going to select the device, and then up here I want online, and I'm going to upload device as a new station. And then that will upload it, and it's going to add it into my G120C upload project. And then I'm going to check the box by upload and click upload from device. So that's going to put it up here. And let's go ahead and open up and have a look at it. So one thing I'm going to look at is I want to just show the parameterization here. We open it up, and they have some really good categories of how exactly you have this configured. So first of all, we have our configuration summary. That's going to give us some quick information, mainly the control unit, the power unit, and the motor that we have set up. So here is the data that we put in the previous video. And then let's have a look at the I/O configuration, because this tells you how exactly this one's set up. Now, I have done one video in between this one and where we were actually configuring it. And I did have it set up for on-off control, and I had this set up for reverse, and I had this set up for acknowledgement of failure. So really quick view, we can get a lot of good info about how it is. And then what I love is right here under digital input, we can actually see the state of them. And once we have some of these wired, then we can do some really easy diagnostics in here. All right, let's go ahead and go out of that, and let's go to the commissioning section. So we can see how we could have done our commissioning from here instead of the keypad. So I'm going to go to the commissioning wizard, and then I'm going to stick with a standard drive. So we're going to click next. And then it's going to give us a little information about, okay, how do you want to do this? Do we want to do PLC to drive and exchange data with some ramp function in the PLC? Do you just want to exchange some data and it do it? Or in this case, since we're still doing some basic drive videos, we're going to leave this at controlling it all. And we'll hit next. And for the most part, I believe that these default function checkboxes will be fine. So we're going to hit next. And then it's going to give you some different opportunities. And this is really cool to figure out, okay, how do I want to have this thing wired? So if we go over to the manual for the G120C, page 93 starts to talk through some various different ones. And in the next video, we are actually going to be using default setting number 12. Because I think this one is a well-rounded one here. This gives us a standard I/O with an analog set point. So we have on-off, we have reversing. And so in this, we can select that 12, and that'll be the analog standard I/O, there's standard I/O with analog set point. So then we can hit next on it. And then we have our drive setting. And so here's where we selected NEMA 60 hertz line US unit. And then it defaulted to 220 volt. We needed to bump this up to 230 volt for our application. And then what type of what type of filter do we have on the motor side? We have no filter. And then it asks us to enter our motor data. And from the previous video, this is the data for your trainer motor. So 0.18 amp, 0.05 horsepower. Yes, that is a super small horsepower. 3,300 RPM, 230 volt, 60 hertz, and no temperature sensor. So we'd hit next on that. We have no holding brake, so we'd hit next on that. And so these are values that it is calculated here. And then we'll hit next. And then we can leave these exactly as they are. And we hit next. And we're finished. That would be how we could walk through doing the drive commissioning over here. Now, we're going to use this in some later videos because, we're going to add this to our S7-1200. So there's how we could have set this up in Startdrive as opposed to doing it from the front keypad. You should know how to do both of them because sometimes the software is going to be easier. Sometimes you're sitting out there with the keypad in front of you and no software. And so you do need to know how to do that also. But next, we're going to talk through how to do that default setting of 12 setup where we're going to wire our on-off to switch 1. We're going to take and make this a reverter. We're going to wire a potentiometer for a speed control, and we're going to get our meter displaying our actual speed. And then after that, we'll start going through how to integrate this with our S7-1200 PLC. And click here for our playlist including that.